a guide on how to lose weight, get consistent results, and stay healthy. Introduction. This is a general guide on everything you need to know about losing weight and keeping it off. I'm writing this because I get a lot of questions about what people should do, and it's impossible for me to give a complete answer in such a short conversation. So I'm compiling everything I know about dieting into one guide. Everything in this guide is something I've tried myself with great results and is based on scientific studies. The guide will cover how to eat to lose weight, build muscle, get stronger, and how to generally feel better and get healthy. It will also explain everything you should eat, along with when you should eat it and how much you should eat. I'm not going to BS you on anything. This is not a guide on how to lose 15 pounds in a week. You will lose weight, you will get stronger, you will build muscle. How much weight you lose and how fast you lose it depends solely on how strictly you follow the guide. This is not a diet, this is a lifestyle, and once you get the hang of it, the weight will come off and stay off. So why should you listen to me? I do not have any degrees or certifications. What I do have is results. I set a world record deadlift of 501 pounds for the natural, raw, under 20 age group in the 148-pound weight class in 2016. I was able to get my body fat percent below 5% for a 5-month period while maintaining my muscle mass. I have also consistently been below 10% body fat for over 7 years now. I've basically made my body a test subject for many different diets and training methods over the last 7 years, and now I'm going to share with you what I have found to work. I may not have a degree, but I do have experience and endlessly long hours reading and researching to find new ways to manipulate my body into what I want it to be. Results are all that matter to me, and everything I'm going to tell you will produce results. If the science is not conclusive on something, I will reveal that while also explaining what worked for me. I'm sharing all this information for free because I firmly believe everyone should have a chance at being the best version of themselves. I want to remove all excuses from people for not achieving their goals. Before I get into the guide, please note that some of the things I'm going to tell you are not going to be easy, and they may go against traditional knowledge you may have heard. Simply trust me in everything and you will get results. I've been doing everything in the guide for the past 3 years, and I've been collecting information to create it for the past 7 years. Try it for a month and see for yourself. Now to start it off, I would like to let you know that almost everything you know about your body and how it works is not true. Most knowledge that we have about health and fitness is fabricated by large companies that are trying to sell you something you don't need. How many times have you seen a product that promised that you would be bigger and leaner, and by the time you finish the product, nothing changed? Well, nothing except you handed $50 over for some powder that came in a shiny jar and tastes like berries. I've tested a lot of supplements trying to find ones that actually worked, and I would say 95% of products on the market really aren't worth the money. You're probably thinking, but the scientists approved it and the model on the label uses it. But I'm here to tell you that it's all crap. Those scientists were either paid off to fudge the numbers of the results, or they weren't even scientists at all. Scientifically proven is probably the biggest BS statement out there. The company isn't about to hand over $100,000 or more to some scientist that's going to tell them that their product is crap. Let me explain why a lot of nutritional science is not accurate and is usually very biased. Scientific research requires funding, and most funding for the research comes from large companies that is trying to sell you something. So, what happens when a scientist concludes that the product they are trying to sell does not actually benefit the user? There are two options: bribe the scientist into fabricating the findings, or hire a new guy that will. If you do not believe that this is happening, then just look at cigarette companies. They had a ton of scientists lying about the product, saying how healthy they are. Now, after the product is scientifically proven, it's time to advertise it. They hire one of the hundreds of models out there to hold the product and pretend like he or she has been using the product for years. That model in the advertisement probably has never used it. You want to know how I know that? Because I have been paid to hold one of those products, and I know many other models that have done the same. I've never used any of the products I modeled for, and neither have they. So to make things easy, I would like you to start from scratch and forget everything you know about what is perceived or proven to be healthy. I'm not going to waste your time. If you follow the guide, you will get long-lasting results. But if you only follow half of it, then you'll get half the results. It's as simple as that. What you put in is what you get out. The goal is to find a lifestyle that works for you by helping you maintain the weight that you want. Now let's get started. Chapter 1. Know how your body works. Dieting is not as simple as calories in versus calories out. There are many factors that play into where your body goes for energy. Obviously, you want your body to go into your fat stores for energy. So the problem presents itself. How do you get your body to go to your fat stores for energy? Here is an extremely basic guide for how your body uses its stored energy. Number 1. Glucose. Short-term storage. It only sticks around for about 16 to 36 hours before it is all burned off. Glucose is your body's preferred source of energy because it's very easy to access. Sugar is a quick and easy to access and requires little energy for your body to convert into usable energy, or store it as fat. Fat storage. Your fat stores last for as long as you have them, and it is a secondary source of energy. It is not an easy to access source of energy for your body, which means that it takes longer for your body to use it because of the process it takes to convert it into usable energy. Muscles. This type of stored energy is much more complex than the others, but it is an easy way for your body to get the necessary energy it needs to function if you are out of glucose and fat. Your body can take energy from your muscles while you still have body fat if you are exerting too much energy, but it usually only does this if you are out of fat. Your muscles are the last place you want for your body to take energy from. If your muscles are atrophying, then it's time to eat. It's extremely unhealthy and it's a sign of starvation. Now, knowing this small amount of information is essential to understanding how to burn fat without touching the muscles. Glucose is your body's preferred source of energy because of how easy it is for your body to use it. But when your body runs out of glucose, it will either go into your muscles or your fat for energy. Your body chooses this based on how much energy you are exerting. For example, if you are using a lot of energy in a short amount of time, then your body will need to go to the muscles and fat for the energy because using just fat isn't enough. On the other hand, if you are using energy over a longer period of time, then your body will be able to use the slower method and go into the fat stores for the necessary energy. This is why long-distance runners will eat a carb-heavy meal the day before long runs. They need to completely fill their glycogen stores so that there is enough energy to complete the run. Knowing all this will help you understand why my method of dieting works. The method is called intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting uses the information above and manipulates it into forcing your body to burn fat even if you are eating the same amount of food as someone who isn't fasting. Chapter 2. Intermittent fasting. If you are only going to do one thing in this entire guide, then it should be this. This is a secret that you've been looking for. Intermittent fasting is the most effective way to maintain a low body fat percentage and build muscle at the same time. So what is it? Fasting is something I discovered during my time as a wrestler when I was trying to cut weight in a way where I could maintain my muscle mass and strength while removing all of the excess fat that I could. I tried multiple diets, counting calories, and many other extremely unhealthy ways of losing weight. During this time, I finally came across a website that mentioned fasting as a means to lose weight. Initially, I didn't like the idea because it went against everything I had read on a fitness website about staying strong during a weight cut. My dilemma was nothing else was working, and I couldn't shed the last 2% of body fat that I needed to make weight no matter how hard I tried. So I decided to test it out. Fasting is essentially not eating for an extended period of time and then eating your daily caloric intake during what's called an eating window. What you need to do is pick out a time of day when you want to eat. This eating window is when you will eat 100% of your food. For example, I pick a 4-hour eating window and I eat all of my food during that time. So, if you wanted to start eating at 4 p.m., then you'll stop at 8 p.m. I know it sounds crazy and you probably think you can't do it because you can't go 30 minutes without snacking, but trust me, you can. You just need to build up to it. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I read that you need to eat every 2 hours or your metabolism will get slow. Or skipping breakfast, but it's the most important meal of the day. Remember what I said earlier. Forget everything you think you know about your body because chances are it's BS. You know who conducted the study that, quote-unquote, discovered that breakfast is the most important meal of the day? Cereal companies did to get people to buy their terrible products. Think about the most common breakfast foods. Most of them contain a lot of sugar and carbs. Sugar and carbs are the best foods to keep your body from going to fat for energy because they are easy for your body to use for energy. This easy access energy removes the body's need to burn fat for energy. Think about losing weight like a furnace. Carbs are the preferred kindling for the fire. It burns fast and makes the fire huge. It's like throwing gas on a fire. If you keep throwing gas on a fire, you'll never have to throw logs, aka slow burning body fat, to keep the fire going. The idea behind fasting is you stop throwing gas on the fire so your body will have to go into the slower burning energy to keep itself going. Ever notice how hungry you are all day when you start your day off with a sugary meal? It's because your body had just gas thrown on the fire and it burned out really fast, so now you need more to keep it going. That hunger you feel will pass if you give it a few minutes, but sugar is really good at stimulating hunger. Side note. This is one of the reasons why artificial sweeteners can be bad for you. The science isn't conclusive on this, but a lot of doctors think it stimulates insulin release and tricks your body into thinking it's eating something sweet. I'll cover this more later. Instead of throwing gas, aka sugar, on the fire first thing in the morning, try skipping the meal and letting your body burn logs, aka fat, for the energy instead. Not only will you be losing weight, but you will also improve your body's insulin sensitivity. A study done by Mansell and his group in 1990 showed that your basal metabolic rate actually increases during prolonged fast. This completely counters the claim that you need to eat every few hours to boost your metabolism. So the whole idea of this diet is to burn all of the easy access energy, aka glucose and glycogen, that is stored in your body before you exercise. Most people I've put on this diet have mentioned that around the 14 to 18 hour mark of the fast, they become very hungry. This is because the body is running low on glycogen stores in the muscles, and it's telling you that it's time to eat more carbs so it doesn't have to resort to using its fat stores. If you think about it in evolutionary terms, fat is a good thing to have because it prevents you from starvation. Your body will want to keep its fat stores because your body isn't very smart and it doesn't know when its next meal will be. The hunger that you are feeling around that time frame will subside in a short amount of time, so you just have to persevere through it for just a few minutes. After this initial hunger phase, you will probably won't experience another one. That's because your body will go into ketosis. The only time you will feel another hunger phase is when you are doing fasts over 36 hours. Ketosis is the process of burning fat for energy because the body has run out of glycogen. Now that your body is in ketosis, it's time for a fast, intense workout to put your body into overdrive. At this point, your body will be craving energy, and you can basically eat whatever you want. During the workout, because you don't have any sugar left in your body, you will be forced to burn fat instead of energy. Working out fasted will feel vastly different than working out after a meal. I will get into how to work out on an empty stomach later during the exercise section. Chapter 3. The Guide. Step 1. The 16 and 8, aka the leans gains. Start here. You'll start off easy by doing a 16-hour fast with an 8-hour eating window. It might sound bad, but it's really not. This is basically just skipping breakfast. If you reflect on how you are currently eating and notice you already eat in an 8-hour window, then skip to the next step. Start eating at 12 for lunch and stop eating at 8. Honestly, it's extremely easy. Do this for 1 to 2 weeks to give your body enough time to adapt because it generally takes about 2 weeks for your body to adjust to anything new. When the 16 and 8 becomes too easy, then extend the fast to 18 hours with a 6-hour eating window. For some people, this is enough to lose all the weight they need to lose. A quick tip. If you're doing this time frame, eat 2 main meals and 1 snack in between them. This will make it easy to hit your caloric goal for the day. If my goal is to gain muscle, then I will do this because it gives me enough time to eat the calories that my body needs. Step 2. The 20 and 4, aka the Warriors Diet. This is where you want to be if you are trying to maintain a single-digit body fat percentage while building strength and muscle at the same time. The 20-hour fast and 4-hour eating window takes some time to get used to, but once you begin, it is borderline impossible to put fat on. I can be at 6 to 8% body fat year-round doing this diet while getting stronger. My suggestion on this one is to eat something high in carbs and protein for your first meal and a high fat and protein meal before you begin fasting again. Optional. Step 3. 24 to 72 hours. A full day without food will melt your fat stores. 2 separate studies show that fasting increases your metabolic rate anywhere from 3 to 14%. I do a 24 to 72 hour fast once every few weeks because it simply is healthy to do. I'm not a health nut or anything, but I always feel amazing if I do not eat anything for a full day. The benefits from fasting include regulating insulin levels, increase in human growth hormone, increasing your basal metabolic rate, weight loss, increase insulin resistance, reducing inflammation, lowering LDL cholesterol, lowering blood pressure, increasing brain health, and could even help you live longer. The proof is in the research. Like I said, I do a prolonged fast every few weeks. They can be absolutely terrible, but again, they are tremendously healthy, and I recommend them if you want to lose weight fast. If you think 36 to 72 hours fasts are negative, then you should hear the story of Angus Barbier. He fasted for 382 days to lose a total of 125 kilograms or 275 pounds. All he had during the fast was water and a multivitamin. I personally cannot recommend doing something like this because I've never done it. However, the science backs it up. And more than one study has been done on the topic, and I've read multiple of them. The basic mindset you have to have when deciding if you can attempt something like this is if you are obese or even just considered overweight, then you can attempt a prolonged fast. I highly recommend before trying anything even remotely over 4 days that you should read as many of these studies as you can and consult an open-minded doctor about the idea. You will know when the fast needs to end because your body will tell you it's time to end. The way the subjects of the study describe the hunger is it will end after a day or two, and after that, it's really simple to maintain the fast. They all say the same thing. Their body told them when it was time to end the fast. They describe an overwhelming hunger coming over them, and it's usually when its body fat goes below 6 to 8%. Also, it's worth noting that the exercise they do during the fast is minimal, and they would do extremely low weight and low impact training like walking on an incline, biking, and low weight, low repetition weight training. To break the fast, you need to ease your way into eating again by eating something like watermelon. Again, and I cannot emphasize this enough, research, research, and research before attempting something as serious as a 4+ day fast. Personally, I try to stick to a 20 and 4 as often as possible, and I extend to an 18 and 6 if I'm trying to gain some weight. I also randomly throw in a 24 to 36 hour fast every now and again. Okay, so that's the plan for intermittent fasting. There's nothing to it but to do it. Like I said, if you choose anything out of this whole guide to do, please make it the fasting. You can easily get away with no exercise and just fasting, and you will still lose weight. Just remember what I said earlier about how much effort you put into health and how it will affect your results. Chapter 4, Training. Now it's time to talk about how and when to train. Honestly, you do not need to work out to lose weight. However, it will help a lot, especially for keeping the weight off over time. The more muscle you have, the more you can eat. A 200-pound muscular guy can consume significantly more calories than a 200-pound obese guy because having more muscle mass increases your metabolic rate. With that being said, you need to train directly before your eating window. Yes, that means training on an empty stomach. Training on an empty stomach will ensure that your body goes to your fat stores for energy because at this point in your fast, your glucose stores will almost be depleted. I always train on an empty stomach. You wouldn't think you'd be able to do it, but it's actually awesome. I set every single one of my personal records after a minimum of 18 hours of fasting. I even set the world record deadlift after a 20-hour fast. You will be surprised at how strong you feel during a fasted training session. When you are training, I recommend solely weight training and very mild cardio. And when I say mild, I'm talking about a light jog, walking on an incline, or biking for no more than 30 minutes. Doing long cardio sessions after 20 hours of fasting is not a good idea. Your body is going to go straight for your muscles for the energy that it needs because a long cardio session requires a lot of energy to maintain. And since your glucose will already be depleted, it will cause your body to eat your muscles for the energy it needs. When you're doing cardio, keep track of your breathing because if you are struggling to catch your breath, then you're probably going too hard. The main objective is to work up a sweat and get your heart rate up. Try not to totally exhaust yourself into a collapsing after a long fast. Weight training is your best bet because your heart rate won't go up too much while you're doing it. For the girls that don't want to weight train because they don't want to get too big, don't worry about it. Just look around the gym and all the people that are there trying to get too big. It's a lot harder than you think. The reason why weight training is so great for weight loss is because of the muscle breakdown that occurs. You may burn less calories in the initial workout than you normally would from running for the same amount of time. However, over time, your body will be using immense amount of energy to repair the muscles that were broken down. Do not do any type of long-winded workout after a 24-plus hour fast. If I do a fast for 24 or more hours, I will only do 1 to 3 repetitions of something really heavy. Your body will be so depleted that you won't get a good workout in if you try to do high reps. I will also try and walk a lot during an extended fast. Walking really amps up your weight loss, and if you walk for 3 miles after 24 hours of fasting, you will literally feel the weight falling off with every step. Keep in mind that your body will react in one of 2 ways when you train on an empty stomach. You will either feel lightheaded and weaker, or you will feel focused and stronger. Do not be alarmed if you feel weaker initially. After about 2 weeks, your body will adjust and you will feel fine. Again, I never said that my guide was easy, but I did say it works. Sometimes, even after fasting for months, you will still feel weak during a fasted workout. This is almost always an indication of dehydration, or you didn't eat enough during your last eating window. So if you find yourself feeling weak or dizzy during a fasted training session, just take a break and drink a lot of water. One thing you'll notice when you're fasting is your body's inability to hold water. The reason for this is the glycogen stores actually help hold water in your body, and when the stores run out, the water does too. That's why it's absolutely essential that you drink a lot of water during a fast. A good indicator for hydration during a long fast is if you are using the bathroom at least once an hour. I'm not going to tell you exactly how to train because that's dependent on you and your goals. That would take another guide on training or a specific plan for every individual. There are simply too many variables that impact how you should train, so it would be impossible for me to cover all of it in one guide. Like I said, this is just a general framework. Generally speaking, you just want to stick to weight training. Shorter 30 to 45 minute workouts are best. I'm rarely at the gym for more than 45 minutes. It is not about how long you were in the gym, it's about how much you get done in the time that you're there. Doing HIIT, or high intensity interval training workouts, since they are a good way to burn a lot of calories in a short amount of time. I am hesitant to describe my workouts in this guide because most people will hear it and not understand it. The more experience you have in the gym, the more quote-unquote feel you have for your body, and you learn your limits. Someone with little experience in the gym should almost definitely follow a guide because they don't have the same sense of their body. I personally train 5 to 6 times a week when I'm taking my fitness more seriously, all while intermittent fasting. The great thing about weight training is the stronger you get, the less you have to go. Someone that has a strong muscular base can get away with going to the gym 2 times a week to maintain their body fat and muscular size. But someone that is new to working out will need to go 5 to 6 times a week to get to where they want to be. A quick tip for extra weight loss would be to wait an hour after your workout to eat your first meal. Giving your body a little time to relax after a workout will burn a few extra calories before you recharge your system with the first meal. Chapter 5. What should you do? Everybody is different, so the different types of fasting will work differently for everybody. Your job is to figure out what you need to do to get the results that you desire. From my experience and talking to people that have followed my rules, is that girls really shouldn't do more than 20 and 4. Girls need to stay around 16 and 8 and 20 and 4 because the healthy body fat percentage for women is higher than men. Guys can push it farther and still be okay because guys can be healthy at 4 to 6% body fat, and girls aren't healthy below 10 to 12%. So if you're a guy that wants to be shredded all year round, then do 20 and 4 and train at least 4 times a week. This doesn't exclude the possibility of doing one long-term fast though. This rule only applies to consistent fasting and eating windows. So just because you're a girl doesn't mean you can't also enjoy the struggle of a 24-hour plus fast. A good combination for anyone is mixing the 24-hour fast with the 20 and 4 or 16 and 8. For example, doing one 24-hour fast a week and the other 6 days doing a 16 and 8 or 20 and 4 is a great way to lose weight. But make sure that you do the 24-hour fast on a rest day. One strategy I use is doing 2 24-hour fasts a week if I cannot do the 20 and 4 every day. One question I often get is, what if my schedule doesn't allow for me to go to the gym right before I break my fast, or my schedule won't allow for me to fast because of such and such? The other solution is eating just 1 or 2 meals a day. Essentially, what fasting is trying to do is limit snacking at any level. If you really pay attention to what you eat during the day, you will notice that you get a lot of excess calories from snacking. Fasting eliminates this problem of snacking and also limits how much you can physically eat in a short amount of time. I will be the first to tell you that it's extremely hard to eat 3,000 to 4,000 calories in a 4-hour eating window. During the wrestling season, while I was maintaining 3 to 4% body fat, I had a 23-hour fast with a 1-hour eating window, with Saturday being an off day where I could eat a 16 and 8 window. It's a super interesting experience if you're up for it, but requires a lot of planning on what you will be eating. That 1 hour of eating needs to be planned perfectly to get all the nutrients you need. Chapter 6. Can you eat anything during your fast? Short answer, no. You can chew gum, drink black coffee, unsweetened tea, and water. Also, avoid diet drinks if you are able to. I have friends that do fasting and drink diet drinks as well, and they do just fine. However, they may be missing out on some of the health benefits by doing this. I personally get some caffeine in me before a workout. Typically, it is a pre-workout supplement or black coffee. They both work really well, but you need to be careful because on an empty stomach, your pre-workout will hit you like a truck. Any pre-workout supplement needs to be less than 15 calories per serving to maintain the fast. As I mentioned, the artificial sweeteners in it can impact the fast, but in my opinion, the energy you get from it is worth it. Black coffee is amazing for a pre-workout meal too, if you want to be safe. Again, and I cannot stress this enough, be careful with how much caffeine you consume during a fast. It will go straight into your system because there is no buffer in your stomach to slow it down. The same thing goes for alcohol consumption if you choose to do that on an empty stomach. I had a friend that would always break his fast with a beer and a rotisserie chicken, and the alcohol hits a lot harder without food. For the record, I do not condone this. Drinking coffee is great for suppressing hunger as well because of the caffeine. Chapter 7. Food. Directly after my workout, I break my fast with something sugary and something high in protein. Typically for me, this is a protein shake with 3 to 5 eggs and some kind of candy or ice cream. I do this to spike my blood sugar and insulin along with replenishing my glucose levels. This isn't bro science here, this is real stuff. A study done by MD Monique Taylor from Harvard University says that eating sugar to break your fast can have an immense health benefit. It fills the depleted glycogen stores and spikes your insulin. Most people don't know this, but a lot of those huge bodybuilders inject themselves with insulin to increase muscle growth. That is why controlling your insulin spikes is a major part of fasting. Isn't it great? You can eat sugar while you're on this diet. It is all about when you eat and how much of it you eat. I'm not talking about an anabolic window that you may have heard of. This is more of replenishing your glycogen stores after not eating for an extended period of time. Try to limit yourself to less than 50 grams of sugar post-workout. But if I'm being honest with myself, I'll eat more than that after a workout on a regular basis. Like I said, I'm not here to waste your time. These are all things that I do, and they're all the things that I have found to work best. Finding what works for you is essential because you're not me and your body will react to things differently than the way that mine does. I might be able to get away with eating more sugar post-workout because I need more to refill my glycogen stores. The post-workout meal is really the only meal where it really matters what you eat. It is essential that you get some sugar and a lot of protein to end the fast. If you want to be healthy, you can replace the candy and ice cream with fruit and sugar instead, but I personally stick with a homemade milkshake. Now, it's time to hit all the different food groups. Number 1, meat. This one's my favorite. Eat all the meat you can. Eat all different kinds too, and not solely chicken and fish. I personally try and eat 1 or 2 steaks a week and a lot of chicken. The only meat that I do not recommend eating is pork. Pork is generally unhealthy for your body. I also never feel well after eating pork. All of the other meats are fine, especially buffalo, chicken, fish, and venison. On a side note, you must always remember that bacon is not healthy for your body, but it's healthy for your soul. 2. Grains. Typically, you want to avoid bread and other grains entirely. Bread is simply bad for you. The only grains that you should be eating are rice and oatmeal. Be very cautious of oatmeal that comes in little packs. That flavoring that you get can be extremely calorie dense and high in sugar. There is also something called quinoa that's really healthy and tastes good too. Other than that, avoid them altogether if at all possible. I'm guilty of eating pizza frequently, but for the most part, grains are not something you should be seeking out. Whole grain is not an exception here either. The science that says it's better, but I'm not convinced. Grains make me feel bloated and slow, but if you have different experiences with it, then go for it. Something to realize about the grain industry in America is that they have a lot of money. The last thing they want to have happen is for people to stop eating grains so they can keep pushing out the new health benefits to keep people eating. Fruits and veggies. Eat all the fruits and veggies that you want to. Be careful with salads though, because they can go from 50 calories to 500 calories really quick when you start throwing dressing on it. Eat a lot of apples, pineapples, and blueberries. Also, eat a lot of green things. I'm talking about dark green things like spinach and broccoli. If you hate the taste of green things as much as I do, then mask it by mixing it in a burrito bowl or in your milkshakes. Always remember that putting cheese on anything makes it 100 times better. Cheese and broccoli is a great mix. Eggs. Yes, and eat lots of them. Eggs are cheap and really good for you. I eat 4 to 8 a day, and since I'm lazy, I usually drink them raw, mixed in my protein shakes. You can buy a box of 5 dozen eggs for a few dollars, so if you don't want to buy protein shakes, these are a great alternative. In my opinion, they are a mandatory part of any diet, regardless of how many protein shakes you drink. There's simply no substitute for eggs. You may ask, won't the raw eggs give you salmonella? Well, Rocky drank raw eggs, and Rocky is a champion, so you'd better believe that I'm going to drink them raw too. But in all seriousness, there's an extremely small chance at getting salmonella poisoning. There are about 310 million people in America, and there are only 23,000 cases of salmonella poisoning leading to hospitalization each year. That's less than 0.01% of the population in America. Sometimes, statistics hide important info if you do not carefully check them out. Like the majority of these cases are from kids under the age of 5 and older people. So basically, they are people with weak immune systems. If you have a history of a weak immune system, then maybe consider only eating cooked eggs. The media just likes to hype things up to get attention. I simply wash the eggs off with sanitizer first. I've been drinking them for over 8 years now and I've not gotten sick once. You may also be thinking that eggs are high in cholesterol, and that could affect your health. It was common for doctors to actually deter people from eating eggs if they had cholesterol problems. However, more recently studies have come out revealing that there are 2 types of cholesterol, HDL and LDL. HDL is the healthy form from eggs and are primarily HDL cholesterol. Milk and other dairy products. I used to drink milk all the time and never realized how sick it was making me until I went to college and stopped drinking it. After a week of not drinking it, I noticed my waist got smaller for no particular reason. I did not lose any weight or anything, however, it got smaller. It was because I'm mildly lactose intolerant and it caused bloating. You probably are too. 65% of Americans are mildly or severely lactose intolerant. I'm not saying to give up cheese and ice cream, but you should stop drinking milk, or at the very least, cut down on your intake. Milk is for growing children, not for grown adults. I still consume a fair amount of dairy because I like to taste, and it helps get a lot of macronutrients I need. Other liquids. Water, coffee, and tea are what you should stick with. You should absolutely avoid soda at all costs. I know many people that have told me they lost a ton of weight simply by cutting out soda from their diet. Avoid zero-calorie drinks too. There is, in my opinion, sufficient evidence to back up the claim that artificial sweeteners can impact how your body reacts to insulin and other hormonal responses to food. In my opinion, this specific topic falls into the area of special interest groups. The science on this topic in particular has a lot of money being poured into it by biased groups that want certain results, so it's really hard to say if there's any conclusive evidence in either direction. This study in particular was done by a diabetic research team, which could indicate that they truly have the people's interest in mind, but I'll leave that up for you to decide. Nuts. Almonds are amazing for your body. In general, all nuts are good for you, but you need to limit how many you eat because they are very calorie dense. Peanut butter is something that I recommend to people who have trouble gaining weight. If you're trying to lose weight, then limit your peanut butter intake as much as possible. Seasoning. I'm guilty of eating extremely plain foods a lot of the time, and my idea of seasoning something is just throwing some hot sauce on it. My steaks are all cooked in just salt and butter. No steak sauce or seasoning. Hot sauce is great because it has no calories, and there's a lot of science that shows it can benefit in weight loss. The downside is extremely high in sodium. Another option is barbecue sauce. Typically, it's high in carbs and sugar, but there are a few alternatives that are lower carb calorie options that taste just as good. Make sure to check the ingredients and nutritional information before picking a brand. Buffalo sauce is another great choice, but again, just look at the ingredients and try not to douse everything in it because of the sodium. That's it for what to eat. This is not a perfect guide for everyone. Different people react to different foods in different ways. There's no one-size-fits-all for food. Some people work best eating a high-carb and protein diet, while others work best eating a high-protein and fat diet. It is possible to be a mix of both. You might need an even amount of all three. Above all, make sure you're eating a good amount of protein. Try to eat at least 2 grams of protein for every pound of body weight. Here's my favorite post-workout shake. 3 to 6 eggs, 3 whole and 3 egg whites if you want to reduce the calories, peanut butter, protein powder, spinach or other leafy greens, some chocolate milk for consistency, an apple, blueberries, or pineapple, and not too much or it'll affect the taste. And then the optional ingredient is chocolate syrup or some kind of ice cream if you can't stand the taste. But I've been told that it tastes great without it, so use it at your own discretion. For me personally, I like the shakes because it makes it easy to get a lot of calories in my body in a short amount of time. If you want to read more into post-workout nutrients that you should be eating, be sure to check out the study done by Ivy about the topic. Essentially, the study talks about carbs and how important they are for recovery. So yes, eating carbs is important, and I do not, in most cases, support low-carb diets. For someone that is trying to limit caloric intake, then skipping the shake and eating hard foods is probably best so you give your body time to feel full. My top tip for preventing you from overeating at the end of your fast is to just chew your food very thoroughly. Focus on what you are eating and nothing else. Get all the food ready that you are planning on eating, and after you get done eating and chewing your food for a long time, let it sit for 15 to 30 minutes. This will give your body enough time for the ghrelin, aka the hunger hormone, to leave your body. Also, drinking a good amount of water during the meal will help you feel full too. It's extremely easy to overeat after a fast, and taking it slow and chewing your food fully is the best way to avoid it. If you are like me though, and are trying to eat a lot of calories and trying to gain muscle, then you need to take advantage of the initial hunger. I usually get 2/3 of my daily caloric intake in the first 30 minutes to an hour of my eating window. Chapter 8. Fad Diets. It's time to talk about the fad diets. These are all the ones that I've tried. The Go Mad, aka the gallon of milk a day. This diet works pretty well for putting on muscle and size. The problem is that some of the size is fat. I was on this diet for about 2 weeks, and during that time I put on around 5 to 6 pounds. I did not see any dramatic changes to strength, and eventually I stopped doing it because I always felt really sick and I didn't like putting on the extra unnecessary weight. I would not recommend anyone do this diet unless they really want to put on weight quickly. A lot of the weight that I gained was water weight and fat, but I'm not sure some of it was muscle too. The Atkins Diet. This is the worst fad diet ever. No carbs? Are you kidding me? I tried this one during my wrestling season. It was straight up terrible. My stomach hurt all the time, and I could not run for the life of me because my arteries were clogged, and without carbs, long cardio sessions were not possible. Also, I was just in a bad mood all the time, because not eating carbs is the worst. I also felt really weak on this diet, so it is a big no for me. Carbs are essential for recovering energy after a workout, and carbs are also your brain's favorite source of energy. You should never live like this simply to lose weight. Guess what happened to the founder of the diet? He died from heart failure and had a history of hypertension. What a surprise. I never would have guessed that eating all fat would do that to someone. On a side note, He was clinically obese when he died, so I do not know if he was following his own diet. You will in fact lose weight on this diet, however, the second you start eating carbs again, you will gain it all back. The vegetarian. This is not one that I have personally tried, but know plenty of people that have. Vegetarian is a perfectly good diet choice, but I personally cannot follow the diet because it eliminates 70% of my protein intake. I know a few people that are way stronger, leaner, and bigger than me that follow a vegetarian diet, so it's a perfectly viable option. If you choose to go vegetarian, then you need to do it right, and this is how. You need to eat as many different sources of protein as you can. Most vegetarian options do not have complete protein that's containing all the different amino acids, so getting a variety of different kinds of protein is essential. Supplementing with BCAAs, or branched chain amino acids, can help make sure you get complete proteins. The paleo diet, or the hunter-gatherer diet. This is one that I want everyone to do, or at least try for 2 weeks. This is by far the best fad diet out there. It is simply eating foods that a caveman would eat. No soda, no bread, and no salad dressings. I know no pizza sucks, but honestly, it is not that bad. Besides, who said cheating on your diet every now and again would kill anyone? The basic rule is that you should be eating things that you know exactly where the food came from. Also, avoid foods that take multiple steps to make edible, aka processed foods. If you follow this diet, you should focus on eggs, meats, leafy greens, fruits, etc. Eat anything that a hunter could find during a hunt. I try to stick to this way of eating as much as possible, even if I'm not 100% on the paleo diet. The ketosis diet. The keto diet alone is not extremely effective, and there are a few reasons for it. I personally like the diet, but it has a few shortcomings. One of the main ones is the lack of carbs. I personally need more carbs to feel good and energized. I know the whole point of the diet is to go into ketosis through low-carb dieting. The problem is that the diet also prescribes a high-protein diet. This may sound good at first glance, but your body does something when it lacks carbs and has an abundance of protein. It goes into a process called gluconeogenesis, and it's what happens when your body can actually break down protein for its amino acids and turn it into glucose. I would argue that fasting is actually the more effective way of getting your body into ketosis. Since you are not eating any protein, you aren't able to go into gluconeogenesis, and towards the end of a 16-hour mark, you will enter ketosis after the stored energy in your body runs out. The steak and eggs diet. This diet is very similar to the paleo diet, but it's simplified in a way that makes it easy for everyone to understand. As the name implies, you basically are only going to be eating steak and eggs. A good grass-fed steak and full eggs with the yolks have all of the essential nutrients you need to feel good and healthy. I will also mention that it's basically impossible to gain weight on this diet, and it's hard to feel full in the same way that you would be while eating carb-heavy diet. In case you didn't notice, there isn't much fiber in the diet. When I was doing this diet, I would eat a spoonful of raw honey after workouts for the insulin spike, and that would help build muscle. Chapter 9. Weight loss limitations. Counting calories. If you are doing intermittent fasting and eating healthy, then you really don't need to be counting calories. I used to count calories when I was cutting weight for wrestling, but it's not fun. Chances are that you will be getting sick of it after a month and burn out. If you really want to count calories, then I would not discourage you, but it's really not worth the effort to me. The only time I find it necessary to count calories is if I'm trying to get below 4% body fat. I know what it takes for me to lose weight, but it's different for everyone. Planning out how many calories you will eat is still very effective for losing weight, but I personally don't like it. If you train 5 to 6 times a week and are intermittently fasting, then your calorie intake will be completely different than someone that sits at a desk all day. There are some extremely in-depth calorie calculators online, but ultimately, you will need to figure out how much you personally need. When you are deciding how much you need, do your best to not look on a daily basis. Instead, view it on a weekly basis, because if you do have a cheat day where you eat more than you should, then you can cut back the next day. For example, if you think you need 3,000 calories a day, then you will plan your week for 21,000 calories. If you are counting calories, I cannot stress enough that you should be counting them on a weekly and not daily basis, especially if you are fasting at the same time. If you have a night out where you exceed your calorie goal for the day, The easy solution would just be to do a 24-hour fast to correct the excess the next day. One strategy I used when I was cutting weight for wrestling is eating one meal a day. I would go to the gym in the morning, and when I got back, I would eat one meal. The meal normally consisted of one huge protein shake and a different kind of meat every morning. The shake was basically what I described above, with some additional foods I would eat alongside it. I had all the calories calculated, so if I ate the same thing every day, I knew how much I was getting. If you are going to eat the same thing every day, then you have to make sure you're getting all the nutrients that you need. Take a multivitamin if you aren't sure. That's enough about food. It's time to hit the other factors that could be limiting your weight loss. Number 1 is stress. Stress will destroy your body. It messes with your hormones and will prevent you from completely losing weight no matter how many calories you're eating. I had a semester of school where I went from 170 pounds with 8% body fat, but after the semester I came out with 160 pounds with 10% body fat. The stress from classes and other life events destroyed my body and changed everything, even though I was still doing the exact same workout routine and following the exact same diet. Stress will kill you over time, so you need to resolve whatever it is that's stressing you out as soon as possible. Next on the list is sleep. Sleep as often and for as long as you can. Get a minimum of 6 hours, but preferably 8, and do not discredit the power of napping. I routinely sleep for 4 hours at night and take a few power naps during the day. If you are not sleeping, then your body will not release human growth hormone. It will also mess up your other hormones such as cortisol, dopamine, and testosterone. Sleep and stress go hand in hand. Not sleeping enough will cause stress, and too much stress can lead to a less sleep. So it's a slippery slope. If you aren't sleeping enough, you will not be able to build muscle, period. Sleep is a grossly complex topic of study, and to reference all the studies I've ever read on it would be impossible because I honestly get them mixed up. The research is also conflicting in many cases, so coming to a true conclusion on anything can be hard. The only true conclusion scientists seem to be able to come up with is we need sleep. Sitting. Try to stand more. Sitting is terrible for you. Americans have a huge problem with sitting. People will never meant to sit as much as we do. I am guilty of it as much as the next guy. And a good alternative to sitting is what's called a third world squat. Look it up and do it. It is really tough at first, but over time it becomes totally comfortable. Also, if you work a desk job, then try and get a standing desk. Research shows that the amount of time you sit has a direct correlation on how long you live. This means that if you sit 8 hours a day, then it does not matter how much spinach you eat or how long you ran for. I'll be the first to say that the study is a little shaky considering how they neglect other daily habits, but from what I read, it does show that just getting up and moving around more is good for you. Age. There is no excuses. However, as you probably know, the older you get, it gets a little harder to maintain a lower body fat percentage. This is not an excuse to let yourself go, though. I can give you countless examples of people over the age of 80 that are in better shape than a lot of the 20-year-olds I know. You can still maintain a healthy weight regardless of your age, but there is also some good news here. Modern medicine can help combat age. I cannot personally vouch for hormonal replacement therapy, but from what I've read, it's an effective way to combat the lower hormonal levels that come from age. Liquid. Try to avoid drinking calories such as soda, alcohol, juice, milk, etc. Never drink soda or juice. All they are is sugar. If you're going to drink alcohol, then try to avoid beer and wine. Stick to hard liquors because it's lower in calories and gets to where you want to be faster. Wine is not good for you no matter what your doctor says. I don't know where doctors came up with the idea that wine is good for you because of the antioxidants, but it's completely false. Sure, there are antioxidants in wine, but you know what else has them? Blueberries and literally every other fruit. You don't need wine to get them, and a study that recently came out showed that drinking a bottle of wine a day is worse than smoking a pack of cigarettes a week. But again, like I said, this has to be a lifestyle you can maintain for the rest of your life. If you can't live without a glass of wine a day, then go for it. If you prefer beer over hard liquor, then enjoy a beer. Find what works for you and do it forever. Chapter 10. The plan. Now that you have the basics down, this is the plan. It's very easy to follow. If you are fasting, then you'll lose weight. If you just eat paleo, then you'll lose weight. If you want to live a miserable life of counting calories, then you will lose weight. If you do a combination of exercise, fasting, and a good diet, then you will lose a lot of weight really fast. I know a lot of the quote-unquote common knowledge out there will say losing weight fast is bad for you, but there have been many conflicting studies that show that losing weight fast is actually better for you, and others that say losing it slow is better. I personally have found that losing it fast and then maintaining it is much easier than going slow. Time to get into the plan that's pretty general. If you think the first phase is too easy, then skip it. Phase 1, 1 to 2 weeks. During the first phase, you need to decide what your goals are. Do you solely want to lose weight, or are you trying to gain some muscle on top of that? After you have that established, you can plan accordingly. The first 2 weeks should consist of testing out how long your fast should be and how much food you want to be eating. Start out at a 16 and 8 and train as frequently as you can. Eat a paleo-based diet. If you're feeling up for it, then try a 24-hour fast and test yourself. Phase 2, weeks 3 through 4. After the first 2 weeks, you should have lost a few pounds and you should be ready to increase the length of your fast if you have not already. You should be getting the hang of what foods work for you and where your calories intake should be. Continue to train as frequently as you can. Begin to zero in on what works for you. Phase 3, now until forever. You need to figure out your own body and what works for you, and then continue to do it forever. Find out what foods your body works best with. If you find that your body works best when you eat more carbs, then you should do it. Whatever helps you reach your goals the fastest is exactly what you should be doing. Do not let dieting control your life. Cheating on your diet once is not going to kill anyone. Intermittent fasting should be a lifestyle, not a diet. Once you get used to it, you will end up doing it without even noticing. I have been doing intermittent fasting for about 7 years now, and it is an effortless way to maintain a low body fat percentage and continue to get stronger. I can honestly say that I can accidentally go 20 to 30 hours without eating before I realize that I should probably eat some food. This ability is extremely handy if you are traveling a lot, by the way. You do not need to let hunger dictate where you eat. You can wait until you find a good restaurant or wait until you find a place off the plane. Chapter 11, Final Thoughts. Cheat days. You do not get cheat days, you get cheat meals. How many you get is up to you. The more cheat meals you get will reduce the amount of weight you lose. I will 100% of the time eat a cheat meal before a 24-hour fast or after a workout. If you are out drinking Friday night, then fast on Saturday or Sunday to counteract the extra calories. If you know you are about to go out and cheat on your diet, then you should probably try and get a workout in beforehand. I found that a high-intensity workout before a cheat meal is a good way to fix the damages. Weight loss supplements. Generally, I would stay away from them. Most of them are pretty dangerous because of all the stimulants. If you want to try some natural ones, then that's fine, but chances are that you are just wasting your money. There's no magic pill that will make you lose weight. These supplements are simply there to supplement your weight loss. They are not there to do all the work for you. I have tried a few fat burners and most of them were BS or extremely dangerous. The best one is called Shred Gym, and I used it to cut the last 2% off my body fat before my powerlifting competition. You do not need a fat burner until you are below 10% body fat. Also, be very careful of what you are taking because some of them have illegal ingredients that can hurt your body. If you do not recognize the name of the ingredient, then look it up. Fighting hunger. Hunger is something that you will get used to over time. Eventually, you will not even feel it. When you are first starting out with fasting, you might notice hunger spikes around 14 to the 18-hour mark. As I mentioned above, this is totally normal, and it is just your body moving into ketosis. A few things to consider would be to avoid sitting around and watching the clock while waiting for your next meal. If you stay busy, then you will not notice the hunger as much. Boredom is why a lot of people eat. Avoid being near food, especially food that smells good. I personally do not get hungry anymore unless it has been over 24 hours since I last ate. After fasting for a while, you will realize that hunger hits in waves. When I do a 36 to 48 hour fast, I will get really hungry around 24 to 28 hours, but after that, I will not feel it at all. Chewing sugar-free gum, drinking coffee, drinking ice water, all of these things will help with hunger too. If you catch yourself watching the clock, then go for a walk. Not only will it distract you, but you'll burn more calories in the process. Whining. Do not walk around whining about how hungry you are. No one wants to hear it. Whining will also demoralize you and make you want to eat. Do not focus on the hunger. If you are focusing on hunger, then find something to keep your mind occupied. Always remember what the great Marcus Aurelius said. Ask, why is this so unbearable? Why can't I endure it? You'll be embarrassed by the answer. For a lot of people, their mind is their worst enemy when it comes to weight loss. You need to convince yourself that you can do it and that you'll be successful. Don't get in your own head about it. If you're feeling demoralized, start telling yourself how easy fasting is in your head or how good it makes you feel. Be flexible. Being on a set schedule for eating is a good way to make sure you follow the plan effectively. The 5 Ps apply here. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Life can sometimes change, and you will need to adapt your diet accordingly. If you are planning on a 20 and 4 day, but work gets a little crazy, and you need to stay a little later, then maybe skipping the gym and just extending the fast to 24 hours might be the best move. You will get the hang of adaptation and all of the complications. Final takeaway points and other health benefits. 1. Mixing the paleo diet and intermittent fasting is the best combo for being lean and strong all year round. 2. It is extremely important that you do not eat anything during your fast. It will ruin the whole thing and you will lose all of the health benefits. 3. Try and plan your eating window right after you go to the gym. Preferably, this will be later in the day because it's easier to sleep with a full stomach. 4. Don't let your eating window remove you from social situations. If you plan a lunch with someone when it's outside your eating window, eat the lunch. 1 day off schedule won't ruin anything. If you're doing the 20 and 4 like I recommended, you can just extend it and make it a 16 and 8 for the day and go back to the normal schedule the next day. No big deal. Or you can go to the lunch and order an ice water or a coffee and explain to them what fasting is and how great it is for you. You do not need to eat a perfectly healthy diet to lose weight while fasting. However, if you eat healthier foods, the weight will come off faster. The first 2 weeks of fasting will be the hardest. Your body will have to adjust to it, but after 2 weeks, you won't get hungry anymore. I frequently get to the end of my fast and do not feel hungry at all. You will notice when you are late into a fast, you will feel more focused and less tired. This is because your insulin levels won't be fluctuating all day. Some studies show that intermittent fasting actually increases longevity. A study done by Barnowski and his team showed that fasting has a strong effect in preventing type 2 diabetes because of the benefits of insulin regulation. Other studies show that growth hormone production increases by 400% while fasting. The spike in HGH is the reason why building muscle on this diet is actually possible while also losing weight. You may notice it can be difficult to get a full night of sleep during fasts that are over 24 hours, and that is completely normal. Just get as much as you can at night and take naps if needed. Drink a lot of ice water during your fast to prevent dehydration. As I mentioned before, your body loses the ability to store water effectively as your glycogen stores run out. I do not recommend cardio while fasting. You should be doing sprints and other explosive movements. Walking is also a good method for burning extra calories without too much stress on the body. When you are breaking your fast, make sure to eat slow at first. Thoroughly chew your food or it will make you sick. This is one of the reasons I like making milkshakes for breaking my fast. It helps get a lot of calories in my body in a short amount of time. If you are doing a fast that is 36 or more hours, you can still work out during that time and not eat after. It won't kill you, I promise. I've tested this out multiple times, even on fasts that were more than 48 hours where I would train twice during that time before eating, and there were no negative side effects. If you are on a longer fast and you go to work out and you do not feel good, try warming up a little longer. And if that doesn't work, then it might just be best to relax a bit and have a light workout. You need to listen to your body, especially when you are doing fasts that are longer than 20 hours. Testing your body fat percentage is actually pretty important for deciding how long you should be fasting and how much you should be eating. I've tested my own percentages enough times to be able to look in the mirror and be able to tell within a 1 to 2% estimate of my current body fat percentages. If I'm sitting at 6%, I know I should be eating more calories. And if I'm sitting at 10%, then I might need to cut my eating window down a little bit. This is also of major importance when going for fasts that are over 36 hours. If you have 6% body fat, then going more than 36 hours is not a good idea at all. It will most certainly get you into starvation mode because you will run out of fat to burn. Conclusion. If you follow everything in this guide, then you will hit your goals in no time. Like I said, the more you do, the better. I personally do not eat all that healthy. I do, however, train 5 to 6 times a week and fast every day. I know that if I do those two things, then I will be able to maintain a 6 to 8% body fat. I know that if I want to get to 4% body fat, then I need to eat a healthier diet. Since I'm happy at 6 to 8% body fat, I do not need to count my calories. The goal here is to find a lifestyle that you can live with for a long time. I know that I would be miserable if I had to count calories all day, so I found a way to maintain my goal weight and be happy at the same time. You will figure out what you need to do to maintain your goal weight. Once you find the sweet spot, it should be almost effortless for you. Consistency is key when it comes to having a healthy body. Self-discipline will decide whether or not you can persevere a long fast. Sometimes you will feel really hungry, but if you can just maintain a strong mind, you can push through it. Fasting will teach you that hunger isn't a bad thing. When you hit those hunger spikes, just know that it's your body getting ready to burn some fat for energy, and that's all the motivation you should need to push through it. When I talk to people about fasting or just losing weight in general, I hear all kinds of excuses for what they can't do. They will say their genetics hold them back from weight loss, or they can't stand being hungry. I've heard it all, and almost none of their excuses are valid. People will find any way they can to diminish themselves and remove self-responsibility from how they feel and how they look. I know a girl that started fasting because she had a hypothyroid problem and couldn't keep the weight off. If she can lose weight, then so can you. Anytime you think you've had it bad, I can almost guarantee someone has it worse. I'm here to tell you that it's all about attitude and building confidence in yourself. When you get to the end of your fast, just think to yourself, maybe I can push my fast for another hour, or maybe go for a walk in the meantime. Those little decisions will add up really fast, and it will differentiate you from others. When you're at the gym, maybe you can push yourself to do another set or walk another mile. Maybe you don't even feel like going to the gym, and you need some motivation. I have found that my best workouts are always on days when I didn't feel like getting out of bed, or I was feeling a little tired after work. I always have a huge sense of accomplishment afterwards because I pushed myself to do something I really did not want to do. I'm giving all of this information out for free, so there's no excuses for people to neglect it and continue to accept their current situation. I want everyone to have a chance at being the best version of themselves. The only thing holding you back now is you. So it's time to decide what you want to be. As I mentioned before, never forget what Marcus Aurelius said. Ask, why is this so unbearable? Why can't I endure it? You'll be embarrassed by the answer.